Hi, this is Abul Hussain coming to you direct from London, the United Kingdom, and welcome to another episode of the SMMA Mastermind podcast, where we talk about how you can start or scale your digital marketing agency. And we also bring on guests and subject matter experts around digital marketing so they can share their knowledge and wisdom with you that you can apply for your own clients. Now, if you are watching this interview outside of our Facebook group for digital marketing agencies, go to smmamastermind.com or find the link above or below this video. Now, with this out of the way, I have a very special guest joining me all the way from Orange County in California. He is an SEO guru. We know SEO is one of those subjects where some people will say it's dead, others will say it's alive, others don't know what they're talking about. Hopefully, he will be able to demystify all of that for us. With that, Nick Verdugo, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Abul. Thank you for having me. And,
thank you very much for joining me.
I can very much state and confirm that SEO is not dead. We've kind of been dodging that for a few years. Every year it seems like we get less and less respect. But then
Okay, well, that's a good opener there. We know it's not dead. So for the people who are watching this who don't know who you are, how about a little bit of a background into how you got into the SEO space before we jump into the topic itself?
So I started my SEO career in 2007 out here in Orange County for a small startup at the time that grew up to be a Fortune 500 company. Then I went ahead and I started working for myself actually in 2009 as a consultant, and from there I've managed to work on some very interesting projects, anywhere from startups to established SMBs to full-on Fortune 100 companies as a consultant, as a strategist, and as a local SEO consultant. So I've kind of been around the block. I've touched on a lot of different aspects of SEO. Technical, offsite, onsite, multiple channel goals, right? So when you're in SEO, you're typically working with a bunch of teams in order to really meet the overall goal of the company, which is to either generate leads or convert some sales. So SEO it has a lot of crossover. So.
Okay, well, I mean, you've been in the space for a very long time, and I mean, I need to make a little confession that I used to be an SEO guy before Google Panda came along, right? For those to remember. So, I mean, obviously, a decade or so ago, to get a website ranked on the first page of Google, you could get software such as SE Nuke or something like that, build 1 billion backlinks, and voila, in a week, a couple of weeks, you're on page one. You outrank everyone else because that was the name of the game. How has the SEO space changed over the last decade, I suppose, from when you got started?
It's a great question. And I think you kind of hit on one of the main things is it's just not as easy, right? Once someone once told me, a really great SEO guy once said to me, if you haven't had a link manually removed, then you weren't pressing hard enough. And that kind of speaks to your whole idea of like SE Nuke and the automated backlinks. So backlinks are still relevant on Google. It's always going to be relevant. The way you acquire them, that's where we kind of have there's a gray area. So link outreach, establishing yourself with good webmasters that provide content within your vertical. I mean, you can still create backlinks. You just can't do it at a rapid pace that you used to 10 years ago, using automated systems. So I think that the basic core idea of ranking on Google is always there. It's never not going to be there. It's how you go about acquiring and working within their guidelines. That's going to help your client rank. So.
So, I mean, is the volume of links still important when it comes to building backlinks? What is effective these days?
Well, it's a great question, and there's going to be lots of different. I'm sure people will argue both sides. Some people will say it's quality, not quantity. Some people say, well, it has to be the right quality. I think for me personally, I think it's finding industries that are relevant to your particular client space, and taking an aggressive approach with that. As long as they are in your vertical, in your niche, have some type of relation to it, I think you can hit the link velocity. But that's my opinion, and it seems to work for me and my clients. The set number of links, I don't know. You can do all kinds of.
Knows.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows. There's a lot of tests that have been done where, websites rank with 0 links, right? So it all depends on what works for you and the strategy that you've actually tested. And again, it's all about testing. And
now, a lot of people might be thinking, well, why would someone link back to my website unless I'm paying them? So, I mean, what incentive is there for publishers and other webmasters in your relevant niche who might often be directly or indirectly competing with you? Why would they link to you?
Well, I think as long as your content's relevant, and I think you'll naturally just want to link back to a different website, because external links actually help. They actually are a ranking factor for your business. So if you have some external links going on to relevant websites, then it's going to help your cause in the search results.
And there used to be a tactic of kind of reciprocation, where you have a reciprocal link. You link to me, I link to you. And then some people would say, well, that is no longer as effective as it was maybe 10, 15 years ago. Have you seen that? Have you seen that to be true?
Well, again, it just depends on, that's a great question. Again, reciprocal links are always going to be part of the SEO, right? Again, it's just about the velocity, if they're automated, if they're coming off of a network. I haven't seen a decline in the ranking factor of them. I do see a decline when they're being rapidly hit, right? That's when you get red flag.
And if people go to certain websites, such as kind of Upwork or Fiverr, there's always someone selling backlinks. What are the dangers of buying backlinks from there, even when they say they're building kind of link wheels and all of that, and they use fancy terms?
The danger is you don't really have a relationship with those webmasters. You don't have really any idea where those links are going to. So I think it would be like lack of control, for lack of better words. If you do have something where you have to go ahead and, take a look at your backlinks, and, you're getting a bunch of them being red flagged, you don't really have the tools in order to disavow them, or well, I guess you can disavow them. It's just, I think for me, it's just, you just don't have as much control. You just don't have a relationship. You are buying something at a bargain bottom price, and you're getting these links that are coming at you. Who knows? I mean, they might be creating 100,000 links in an hour, right? And your site gets red flagged. So just not advised. People do it. People still do it. It's not advised.
And do you recommend people buy? There are still websites out there that purportedly sell you high quality links where you actually pay a premium price for the link. Are those investments worth it, generally speaking, or do you do any link buying on behalf of your clients from these websites?
So I think it's, again, if you're looking for a turn and burn site where you're just going to test something, you don't really care about the brand, you're just looking to accomplish some type of ranking for a particular keyword, like in an affiliate site. And you don't really care about it other than a quick hit, get out. You don't care if you get banned because you have 10 more lined up, ready to go. I think there's a space for that. Sure, there is. Otherwise, people wouldn't be selling them. But if you're really concerned about creating a brand, your reputation, there's no need. You don't want to risk that. You don't want to risk being banned by Google. You want to do it slow and steady, because that's what runs the race on Google. I mean, if you play by the rules and you're in business for the long haul, then there's no reason why you wouldn't be investing in like solid SEO. Now, Do I think that there is a thin line in our industry? You have this whole notion of black hat SEO and white hat SEO. There is a gray area that every SEO has to walk and find what works for them, and also what works for their client. That's the most important part, right? There's no way you want to be the SEO that gets your big multinational client banned from Google. You don't want to be that guy. And so you really just, as an SEO, have to find your
Right
balance. Yes, you just have to find that.
Well, I'm glad you touched on the gray area, because you're right. Some people kind of, have this black hat world, and then, you have the white hat, but people often forget that there can be a middle, there can be a gray area where some stuff could be, I suppose, semi-automated, or you might actually be buying a backlink, which is worth buying because it comes with the juice from, I have people trying to sell me a Forbes link all the time.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Stuff like that. It might be worth it, but, you've touched upon the I suppose, black hat SEO, and obviously how people are always trying to game Google to get ahead. Is black hat SEO still effective as it was a couple of years ago, or even a decade ago?
I think, okay, I would say that if you are very methodical, careful, you've tested your strategies, I think that the quote unquote black hat methodology can work very well.
Right.
I have been in this space long enough to meet a number of guys that they are proud of their black hat. And I enjoy being with those guys because I learned so much. And I've seen them succeed, and I've seen them run SEO campaigns for large companies and been successful and continue to be successful. So it's just, there's SEO can be very powerful tool, and affiliate marketers are the ones I think that give black hat the bad reputation. So I think, to answer your question, I think it can be effective in 2020, and in some cases, in some conversations, I've heard it's been tremendously well in 2020. And
that's
so
interesting. Okay. Well, I'm not going to delve much deeper into that conversation in case we end up giving people ideas that we should.
Yeah, that's right.
Black hat. I'm very interested in black hat SEO.
Oh, me too. You have to be. You have to keep learning. You have to understand what people are doing out there.
I've got a confession to make myself. I had an interview many years ago where I mentioned in my resume that I can do black hat SEO, and I have used it. And that came back as the feedback as one of the reasons why they rejected me.
Well, that's the thing, right? As SEOs, you're always like, well, I don't want to. But yeah, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's our space. If anybody is telling you otherwise, they're just lying, or they just don't know how to do it. You have to know how to do black hat SEO. If you don't know how, you're a rookie. You just came out of college.
And it's not as simple as building 1 million links, or not anymore anyway.
No, it's not. It's really not.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So one of the things that, when you look into the dark arts of SEO that I have seen pop up from time to time is this whole negative SEO business, where you try to de-rank a competitor or kind of get them to drop lower in the SERPs by, I suppose, employing, again, some of these dark arts to build 1 million links to their site and all of that. Is SEO a real thing?
Negative SEO?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's again.
And how big of a problem is it?
It depends on what side you're on, right? If you're a competitor and you're not ranking because your main competitor is pushing you down, then you have a problem. How big of a problem is it? I don't know. It's just business. I don't know if it's a problem. I guess it just depends what side of the coin you're on.
how can someone identify if they are kind of, being targeted by someone who's actually kind of building all of these weird backlinks to them, which is
Well,
impacting their rankings?
sure. I think, well, that's the first start, right? Is being able to have good tools to identify the links that are actually being sent towards your website, and also the velocity. I mean, that's something. I mean, a natural backlink structure looks a lot different than one that's being hit with the,
Hmm.
automated spam. And, there's also, you can check your server response time. I mean, there's lots of tools that you should be checking in order to see. I mean, there's DOSes. I mean,
Mm,
you need to be, if you're not engaged in your site, and then
right, of course.
why do you have a website?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Now, when people are starting from scratch, if I were to, and I'm sure you're going to get this question, which probably sounds very silly to you, but it's a very rookie question that you're going to get all the time, I'm sure. People who are building a new brand or a new website and they want to rank on the first page, and I'm sure you're going to say the answer is how long is a piece of string, but how long does it actually take these days to effectively rank on the first page of a semi-competitive or even a competitive keyword and stay there, because one of the reasons people they don't delve into SEO is because they think it takes time and they can just run some Facebook ads or some Google ads and achieve the same or better results and get a quicker return on their investment.
Yeah, well, when someone asks me that question, I just always ask, how long do you plan on being in business?
Right.
That's my first question to them. And because, are you in for the next week, or are you in for the next 20 years, right? And so when you look at, when you ask that question, it's very, well, I'm in it forever. Okay, well, good. Well, first you invest in brand, right? I think brand's the first thing, because you have to get it out there. And usually you can rank for your brand pretty quickly. And then you do the extension of brand, right?
Right.
Which is the services tied to the brand. And then you can go into the actual, you have some content to actually look at, review, and then, then you can start testing for your services or your products, or, what is it, your messages, whatever it is that you're trying to eventually rank for. New brand, I would say anywhere between 1 to 6 months, right? And then, in a year, we should have some really good, some good content, some good feedback, some good testing, and we should see some volume happening within
Mm-hmm.
product, services, and brand.
So if someone is going to invest in an SEO consultant, how much bandwidth, how much time should they be looking to give that consultant to actually bring in some results for them?
Well, I think you want to mix it with your SEO. So you want to have a digital marketing team. I mean, SEO is a component to that team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, if you're bringing on a new brand, I think you want to go heavy with it. The SEO should be consulting with your SMO or your content manager. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, there should be this whole collaboration. So to give you an answer, how much time? I mean, it's how much time do you have? I mean, if it's just like
If someone wanted to budget, for example, to bring in an SEO consultant to work on their on-site and their off-site optimizations, what kind of time frame is realistic for them to actually see some movement, I suppose, or some sort of results? We're not talking about obviously
sure.
being on page one for all of the results, but when can they kind of be comfortable in a position that this is actually working to a certain degree?
No, that's fair. I think 90 to 120 days is like a good benchmark. Once you've established goals and what your targeted keywords are, what you consider conversion. Once you establish that, I think 90 to 120 days is a good. You can give back to the client and show, look, here's where we're at. Here when we started, here we are today, and this is what I plan moving forward. And you can start measuring after that. I feel
Okay.
that's
So 3 to 4 months is a fair period to test someone out, I suppose.
I would say so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, awesome. I mean, there's the SEO world. There's so much going on at the moment. You hear about voice search, you hear about local SEO. Let's start with local SEO first. how does local SEO differ from kind of optimizing for, I suppose, more broader keywords to rank a website or a web page?
It's a great question. And so local SEO, I think, can be broken down pretty easily. It's, you're trying to rank for the service that you provide in the area that you service. And so, if I'm a plumber in Newport Beach, and I have a physical location here, and I'm part of this community, then when you look for a plumber in Newport Beach, I want to be the first one on the maps. Now 40 miles away from me in Los Angeles, if someone looks for a plumber in Los Angeles, and I'm showing up, I'm probably not going to drive 40 miles to fix the drain, but I'll certainly go quarter of a mile to my neighbor's house even, right? So local SEO is about being able to be found for your local area, for the service that you provide in that local area. Now, does this mean that Starbucks isn't a local barista? Does this mean the Gap isn't a local place to find jeans? No, they are. They're part of the local community. And so multinational brands, they need a local SEO strategy. Because if they're not, then little Joe coffee shop might be outranking Starbucks in the local community, and that's a lot of volume. I mean, coffee near me, right? That's a big phrase, right? So that's local SEO, kind of on a high level.
Right.
SEO, yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Well, SEO is you're looking to rank for keywords on a national or even a global, a global level. And so both strategies, there is some crossover. So you're looking for, competitive keywords in order to rank for, right? On an SEO level, right? And you're looking for a content strategy to support that. And, you're making sure, in the crossover, you're always making sure that your website is up to date. Site speed is good. You have schema code written. Your title tags are written in a way that are going to capture your target audience. There's a lot of crossover. I think with the linking for local SEO to be successful, your links that you're really focusing on are those within the community, your local community. So, if I'm in Newport Beach, I would like a link from Newport Harbor High School. If I am in Costa Mesa, I'd love a backlink from maybe the Costa Mesa Chamber of Commerce, right? And these are all, so your link strategy may vary, but there's a lot of crossover in local and national SEO.
And I remember, a couple of years ago when people were trying to rank their businesses within the Google kind of the business listings, if you like, they were talking about the importance of citations, and they were trying to build citations in URL and other directories. Are citations still an important factor in determining how well your local listing ranks, or what are the dominant factors, I suppose, that determines where you appear in the results?
Yeah, great question. So the primary factor, in my opinion, is the GMB page. Now, the GMB page has become so much more relevant because it's really provides you your first introduction of your business. It's your first calling, right? And the GMB page has also created just a lot more robust features. You can create a product category, you can load images, you can create posts, you can write in about us, you can, in some cases, in the Google Maps, businesses have ranked just by using their GMB page. And we see more and more of this. It's been more interactive with the Q&A features. They have, being that our current situation is what it is, there is a COVID update, right? You can, if you're a restaurant, you can load your menu there. There's just so many. So you start with your GMB page, you optimize that as if it was your own business website. Citations, yes, citations are a factor. They're not the only factor. There was, like you're saying, there was a time where we can just get 100,000 citations, and you can see the Google Maps, your ranking in Google Maps increase. Today it just doesn't work like that. You start with the GMB page, then you go to your website, and there's the way you structure your URL to match the area that you're in with the services that you provide. Within that page, you want to make sure that you have a right geotag, right, for the area that you're trying to capture. If you have, your content should be relevant to the area that you're in, as well as some keyword embedded into it. That means there needs to be a map embedded into the landing page. If you have multiple locations, each location needs to have its own landing page. And so after you do that, then you can reach out to
citations. It's a lot of work.
then you can go out to the directories. Then you can go out to the aggregators. So, and listen, it's not getting any easier. I mean, when I started in this space, it was 10 businesses on the first page of the Google Maps. Then it went to 7. Yeah. Now it's 3. So that real estate is shrinking, which, it's a lot more competitive.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. So kind of talking about voice search, you hear all of the stats that half of all searches worldwide are done via voice now, apparently. So how can a business ensure that they are benefiting from searches that are being done through voice? Is that through marking up their website or using certain language on their website? Or, how does the world of voice work?
So what I've seen, and that's a great question, because my kids, they don't type in when they Google search, they just simply pick up the phone and talk into it. And so schema code seems to be very effective with voice search, writing up that schema text, implementing into your pages for, again, usually when you're doing a voice search, you're looking for a service in an area. What time is Starbucks open today? What time do they close? So schema gives you an opportunity to kind of write that and put it in the back of the pages, and that has actually a really, really good effect on voice search and also local SEO.
Awesome. Well, we've very quickly run out of time, and there's so much more that we can talk about, and maybe we need to do
consider all day.
Maybe a whole episode on Black Hat SEO, but I'm not just going to go there. Now, for someone who might be interested in SEO, or who might be interested in finding out more about what you do and how you can help them with their SEO, where's the best place for them to find you?
You can find me at Nicholas Verdugo on LinkedIn, and you can find me at Nicholas Verdugo on Facebook, or you can find me at BestNetNick on Twitter. Those are great places. You can also go to nicholasverdugo.com.
On that note, Nick, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Abul. Appreciate your time.